will furry conventions look in the future? I mean, it's probably easy to argue that it's been a really rough couple of years for just furry conventions and, of course, the fandom in general, alongside everything else that's been going on. We've had cancellations, we've had some small conventions, unfortunately, pretty much close their doors entirely.
Completely disappear.
But as, the years have gone back on, we are starting to see some glimmers of hope, I think, when it comes to furry conventions, am I right?
Starting to heal, slowly but surely.
I think probably the biggest thing I'm going to note is that the weekend that we're actually filming this, there is actually a furry convention going on in real life.
There is. First one.
Yeah, Furry Down Under, so Furdo. There's a great meme I saw floating around on Twitter about it.
Oh, that was funny.
That classic SpongeBob one. But it's very true, because we can't actually get into Australia right now.
No.
So, and no one can really, unless you're Australian. So,
have fun, everyone.
So consequently, it's quite a small con, and even they've got like limitations. And this makes me wonder, what are furry conventions going to look like over the next few years? Because, it's... Obviously, this isn't going to clear itself up overnight. What's been going on over the years? We've got hope. There's things that are looking good. Things are very positive. But it's very easy to say that right now, it's going to affect us for a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's still uncertain. Everything is still... It's still kind of roughly working itself out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what's happening at the moment is you've got 3 different con types, effectively.
Yeah.
You've got the ones that are actually live, so Furdo, for example.
Yeah.
Then you've got the ones which are using virtual places, like VRChat, Second Life even.
Yeah, we heard there was a Second Life
version of Furry Weekend Atlanta that's going on today.
Nice to hear again.
And then you've kind of got the hybrid approach, where there's some cons that are going to be doing kind of live, but because they can't hold as many people...
Small conventions... Small virtual.
Online space, so I know, for example, that Megaplex is going to be doing that.
Yeah.
And that probably brings me to a good example, because Megaplex is a good example, as is Denver and Philadelphia. They're all cons I know in America that are pretty much going to go ahead in some format, but also keep an online presence, because, for example, Megaplex, they're being safe, which is a very good thing to do, of course, where they're having kind of half the attendance, which I think is about 3,000 people.
Yeah, and their original attendance is about 6, 7?
6 plus, I think, around that.
Around 6.
It's a big con. It's not Midwest Fur Fest big, but it's a big con.
No, but it's still very big.
That's what I'd like to go to.
Yeah, we'd like to come to Megaplex.
But, so what they're doing is, and looking at their website and that, is they're going to have limited amount of people there. They're going to make sure that everyone's spaced apart. Mm-hmm. Again, sensible things.
Yeah.
You're going to have to wear masks. I'd expect that is indoors, including fursuiters, which is interesting. I mean,
I hope that works.
A little harder to enforce because you can't quite see in my mouth.
No.
You'd have to get quite personal if you.
Plus, it's kind of hard to breathe in suit as it is. So.
You wouldn't be social distancing if you're trying to see it.
No.
But I mean, a lot of people who wear fursuits do wear balaclavas anyway.
Yeah, they do wear balaclavas.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I tend to. Yeah.
I don't know if you're wearing one right now.
Not now, but that's because we're mic'd up.
But I mean, honestly, even when you do it for videos. Sometimes you wear a balaclava.
Occasionally, yeah.
When we know we're doing a longer one.
Hard.
It doesn't really change even your voice. I've never really noticed it.
No.
So I mean,
perfectly
there is
safe.
that.
Very useful. But so
it makes me wonder what the experience will be like at these cons, though, with kind of distancing. Because I mean, for me, part of the con is kind of hanging around with people and hugs.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. As a fandom, we're very, very physical. We're very. Yeah, well, we are very physical, especially when it comes to fursuits and in convention spaces. We're obviously very huggy. We're very kind of, hands-on. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that's enforced.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, I do like that there is, again, kind of a hybrid approach here with these cons. So there's like a virtual version of it. So, for example, Megaplex, if you can't go because maybe you couldn't get in or you don't feel safe going, or you're like us, you're stuck in the UK and maybe you can't travel.
We can't go anywhere.
It's a good option because it means you can still attend these cons. And actually, for some of us, it means we can actually attend the cons for the first time ever. I've attended, I've been to Further Equinox, I went to Furry Weekend Atlanta the other day. These are cons that I couldn't actually do because I couldn't get time off of work or money to travel.
Yeah.
And this is one of the upsides, I guess, is I feel like I've been there.
Yeah.
And you've got these beautiful online spaces for some of these websites, for some of these cons that are being created in VRChat. And I think it's a nice concept.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side, you've got the Furry Convention, which, say, Confuzzled or Vacation, those ones where they just have kind of a stream or a Discord chat. And, that's another good option because again, you can stay home, stay safe, and still watch the con. Feels a little less interactive, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I find Discord chats and so forth. I mean, they're very helpful for letting everybody connect with each other and having a sense of community, especially when it comes to a convention space. But I personally still think that something like VRChat is, at least you can see each other's sonars.
Yeah, I think it's a better place for...
I mean, weirdly enough, I hate to say this, but I think it's because of visual recognition of seeing somebody who you know is just as important as hearing them or even just seeing their name come up on a Discord chat. That's me personally. I mean, even hearing them.
I mean, I ran an event at Nordic FuzzCon virtually. It wasn't a VRChat con.
No.
It was an experience. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching people kind of watch it. I get the same sort of experience to when I do premieres on YouTube.
Yeah.
Wasn't the same as being there. Would it have been different if I'd been watching it in VRChat? Maybe.
I mean, we did try that a couple of days ago, didn't we? Where we watched some. Yeah,
we watched one of the events in Furry Week in Atlanta. I actually found it a little hard to focus on it because there's so much going on around you in these VRChat
Mostly music.
worlds. Well, it was, I mean, you're relying on people with avatars.
Well, I mean, I won't lie.
noisy.
If it was set up a bit better, I mean, because we watched it on a dance floor. That was probably not the best place to watch it in virtual space.
Yeah, they had other places.
But they did have a place that was specifically made for doing that. And if you kind of sat down with a bunch of people in VRChat and we're all watching it together in VRChat, I think you'd get some part of that feeling that you get when you're watching it at a convention.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to argue that this is going to be very similar as we head into 2022 even. It's a question of what will cons look like in 2022 and even the end of 2021. We get to hear what Midwest Fur Fest is doing, for example.
Yeah, and which we're hoping
we're looking at rules, restrictions. Will there be limitations to how many people can attend anyway? Will there be requirements for vaccinations? Will you have to prove that you've been tested? All those sorts of things.
I don't think that's even in question, is it really? I think that's pretty much a given.
But it puts a new level of question on the con, and over the next few years, and I just feel like it makes sense to have these virtual cons at the same time as these requirements, because not everyone can get vaccinated at the same time or attend because of that. Some people can't fly. I mean, if you live down in, I think, Australia, you literally can't leave the country right now.
You can't leave, that's it, lockout.
We could travel, but we have to quarantine. So you've got that, and this is a good way of cons kind of keeping their presence, keeping attendance, and in the case of some cons, being able to charge a little bit of money for people to attend.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got your virtual-only cons, which are obviously a product of 2020.
I was going to say, I mean, they didn't even exist until recently, and I don't think they're going anywhere, to be honest.
I think it's that's a good argument. I mean, Furality, for example, is an entirely virtual convention. The convention space was really cool. My problem with Furality was that it didn't fully embrace being in the digital world, whereas a convention, it didn't have to stick to a time zone.
Yeah.
And that was my problem with Furality, was it was all based on the West Coast of America, which for us, midnight on the West Coast is 8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So I was literally going on VRChat in the morning to go to the dances. And that's fine, but I just feel like, because then there was nothing for most of the day here, I just feel like you're a virtual con, you don't have limitations. You could probably get a lot more international. You could get different
people from different parts of the world who want to be involved in your virtual con, which doesn't have an actual physical space, to just run events 24 hours a day.
But I mean, it's safe to say these are all kind of teething things, and it's all very new.
Of course, I mean, this is only just really started.
I think you are right in saying that they've spent enough time, and a lot of people have put a lot of effort, it looked beautiful, into these virtual cons. And the best bit is,
I mean, they looked fantastic.
You didn't need to really have anything to attend Furality. You just put a small donation to charity, which was really nice. Helps the charities, because they're being affected heavily by this. And it was great. You could just go to it. You don't need VR to actually get VRChat, despite...
No, it's the world's worst named kind of application in that respect.
You need a modern-ish computer. Obviously, you can't use it if you're on Apple.
I would say my main concern for all of these VRChat conventions, it still is something that I'm hoping will get either sorted out or something else will come along and take over that point, is the fact that you can only have about 150.
It's a real hardware limitation, isn't it? About 100.
And when you hit that kind of level, the server is becoming possibly laggy. And the stupid thing is that anyone who's been to any convention, even a small convention, knows that part of the experience of a convention is bumping into people, seeing people, having organically moving groups of people, group friends, you need to have a server or a setup or something that can handle not just 100 people, but 500 people, 1,000 people. I mean, well,
yeah,
and maybe that's a bit ambitious at the moment, but something in the realms of 300 to 400, maybe 500 people, all at once in one area, in a convention-sized area, where everybody can organically move around and talk to each other. And I know VRChat just simply can't do that at the moment.
Well, this is the thing, you end up having to hop between instances because there's like 8 instances and 6 people in one and 20 in the other.
It's not quite the same as going, I'm going to meet you at the dealer's den. Which dealer's den? Dealer's Den number 10.
I mean, I just want to say, actually, Dealer's Den, that is something that Furry Equinox did so well.
I do like the
I went to it the other day. It's even the con's not even on, but this is the other upside to these virtual cons.
Yeah,
you can go to the spaces after the con.
Yeah.
The Virtual Furrence one, for example, the EF Virtual World, lovely world.
It was.
We often hang out in that on VRChat. So
beautiful.
You have got these kind of advantages to these virtual
And the other good thing about Dealer's Dens, I think, when it comes to virtual space, is the fact that you can have vendors who technically can't leave their country, or even ever left their country, literally standing next to their own, stall, selling their wares, being able to sell to people that they would never be able to meet.
Yeah, so I mean, there is the upside. So, I mean, that brings me to the point here. Do you think and feel that virtual cons are going to stick around long after? I mean, what do you think? Personally,
I don't think the virtual con's going anywhere.
No, I feel like you're going to get a split. I think for the next couple of years at least, the big cons especially will probably run both virtual and real events with some kind of limitation, obviously. But I think after that, once we're back to normal, once everyone's back hugging and crowding into the same rooms, I feel like Ferality, for example, definitely going to stick around.
Yeah, you're gonna basically just get more cons. You're just gonna get the physical cons are gonna turn into physical cons again, and then there are gonna be people that ran the virtual cons for physical cons, turning those their resources into new cons that are only virtual.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea that there will be this ability to have both a virtual and a live con at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the real problem,
I'm going to do more
obviously,
virtual cons if that's the case.
It takes a lot to set up a virtual con.
Yes,
but for the ones that maybe already have a world created and that, it's not too much to say that they'll probably have people doing their own virtual con at the same time as a live one, so they don't feel like they're missing out.
No.
And I think that's the real takeaway from all of this, isn't it? Is the future of conventions, I think it's safe to say, is yes, the status quo is going to stay and we're still going to have kind of our in-person cons.
Yeah.
But we're also going to have these kind of new online digital spaces in VRChat and whatever platform is the one that people are using. And it's fantastic. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I, for one, can't wait to go back to Furry Convention.
Me too. Please, we need to... we want to see everyone. We want to see you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
I know you guys want to see us, and we want to actually see you guys face to face instead of just comments and the odd stream.
You've heard us talk about it. What do you think? What do you think the future of Furry Conventions is going to be like? Yeah. Let us know in the comments below. Also, this is a kind of a new style video. What do you reckon of it? Did you enjoy it? Should we do more of these? Let us know that as well. If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or consider supporting us on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. I'm Shadow Raccoon.
And I'm Theodore Rabbit.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.